Galactic leaders watch in shock as humanity rejects peace talks. HFY stories, HFY Sci-Fi. The Grand Chamber on the Galactic Council Station was a marvel of technology and alien architecture. It floated in the vast expanse of space, a neutral ground where the most powerful species in the galaxy convened. But today, the atmosphere was thick with tension, as an unexpected event unfolded before the eyes of hundreds of representatives from worlds beyond human comprehension. On one side of the circular chamber sat the galactic leaders, an assortment of beings who had spent centuries refining their societies, cultivating peace and progress in the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Their faces, though varied in form, color, and composition, held a single expression: disbelief. In front of them stood a human delegation, led by General Evelyn Carter, the commander of Earth's military forces. She was tall, clad in the standard uniform of the United Earth Alliance, with a calm expression that contrasted the storm of emotions building within the room. The human delegation's position was clear. The Council had spent months negotiating peace terms, a landmark agreement that would see Earth joining the Interstellar Alliance. But now, in this moment of triumph, humanity was rejecting everything. "You're rejecting a future of prosperity," Councillor Tkar, a six-armed Soren, hissed from across the room. His species had evolved with a deep understanding of politics, and his frustration was evident. "Do you realize what this means for Earth? The wars, the isolation." "You don't understand," General Carter interrupted. "We've lived through decades of conflict, rebuilding our world after so many years of struggle. We can't just surrender our independence to become a cog in your machine. Humanity's strength comes from its resolve, from our ability to fight for our own destiny." The silence in the room was deafening. For centuries, the galaxy had known nothing but cooperation, diplomacy, and unity, concepts that had shaped every civilization present. The idea of a species rejecting the chance for peace was almost incomprehensible to them. The human race had long been seen as a young, unrefined species, constantly struggling to find its place in the greater cosmic order. And yet, here they were, standing firm in defiance of everything the Council stood for. "But this is the chance for your people to grow," argued Vkaz, the towering Zelver who represented the Biotechnological Alliance of the galaxy. His skin shimmered with bioluminescence as he spoke. "We offer you access to technology beyond your wildest dreams, a future without war, hunger, or disease. You could be among the greatest of our civilizations." "And yet," Carter said, her voice unwavering, "we would be nothing more than another subject in your galactic empire. We built Earth with our blood and sweat. We won't hand that over, no matter how much you promise." The Council murmured amongst themselves. Some representatives could barely contain their confusion, while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. For the first time in history, humanity was refusing what had been offered to them. To these leaders, it was an impossible betrayal. Then, a figure in the back of the chamber, an observer from one of the fringe planets, stood up. A tall, lean being with silver skin and 3 vertical eyes, an altar from a far-distant system, known for their sharp intellect and neutrality, spoke softly, yet with piercing clarity. "They're not rejecting the offer," the altar said, his voice reverberating through the chamber. "They're rejecting the notion that their future must be decided by others. Humans are different. They don't bow to what others tell them they should be." A ripple of realization spread through the chamber. The human delegation wasn't acting out of ignorance or anger. They were acting out of an inherent belief that freedom, independence, and the ability to shape their own future were not negotiable. The galactic leaders had underestimated this. They had seen the humans as pawns, to be guided into the fold of galactic unity. But they had misjudged the one thing that made humanity unique. Carter stepped forward, her eyes locking with the Council. "We came here not because we wanted to join your peace, but because we wanted to learn from it. But if peace means abandoning what makes us human, then we will choose war, hardship, and survival over complacency." The words hung in the air like a challenge. The representatives, though wise and ancient, were stunned into silence. The Soren, for all his political experience, could not grasp how a species so young could have such conviction. The Zelver, for all their technological wonders, had never encountered a species so determined to carve its own path. And as the human delegation turned to leave, the Council was left to grapple with an uncomfortable truth. Humanity, for all its flaws and imperfections, had something that the galaxy did not: a fierce, unshakable will. A will to fight for survival, to embrace struggle and to reject submission. The galaxy's leaders had assumed they were watching a species on the brink of joining the galactic fold. But instead, they were witnessing the birth of a new force in the galaxy, one that would not bend to the will of others, but would chart its own course, no matter the cost. As the doors to the chamber slid closed behind the humans, a final thought lingered in the minds of all present. Perhaps the greatest strength of humanity wasn't in their technology or their numbers, but in their unyielding belief that they could shape their own destiny, no matter how hard the galaxy tried to push them into line. And for the first time, the galactic leaders realized they might have made a grave mistake underestimating the human spirit. End. Galactic leaders begin to worry as humanity finds its own path. HFY stories, HFY Sci-Fi. The fallout from humanity's rejection of the peace talks was felt throughout the galaxy. The representatives of the Galactic Council could not shake the unsettling feeling that lingered in the air long after the human delegation had departed. The rejection was not just a political move, it was a statement, an indication that humanity was something new, something unpredictable, and something that might not fit into the harmonious vision the galaxy had for itself. As days passed, the Council continued to debate the implications. The message was clear: humanity had rejected the peace terms not out of fear or anger, but because they believed they had something to protect that the galaxy could not understand. This puzzled the Council, especially the older, more established species. The Tsorans, the Zelver, the Eldari, they were all species whose entire histories had been built on collective unity, shared wisdom, and the endless pursuit of knowledge and peace. To them, the rejection of such a significant offer was almost like a challenge to the core values they held dear. In the days that followed, whispers began to spread across the galaxy. While the council members wrangled in their chambers, the rest of the galaxy watched. The reaction was mixed. Some viewed humanity's defiance as a sign of strength, while others saw it as a dangerous recklessness. But one thing became clear: Earth was no longer a simple, young civilization to be guided. It was a power in the making. On Earth, the decision had been met with overwhelming support. General Evelyn Carter, once regarded as an up-and-coming military officer, had become a symbol of human pride. Her speech during the rejection of the peace talks went viral, and soon, humanity's resolve to remain independent from the galactic order was a rallying cry across every nation on Earth. Humanity's actions were starting to reverberate beyond Earth's borders. The Alliance's offer of technology, shared resources, and a bright future seemed increasingly irrelevant to those who felt the same fierce pride that the humans displayed. Even species like the Sonari, whose warlike nature had kept them isolated from the rest of the galaxy for centuries, began to take notice. They were not the only ones who prized their independence. Back in the Galactic Council, the conversation shifted. It was no longer about whether humanity should be part of the Alliance. It was about how to deal with a species that had so clearly defined its own path. The fear had begun to set in. Was humanity a threat? Could they become the disruptors of the fragile peace that had existed for so long? The Zelver, whose biotechnological advancements had brought them untold power, now saw their once unstoppable technological progress as a potential vulnerability. If humanity, with its sheer willpower and unrelenting spirit, could find a way to rival them, without relying on alien technology, the consequences could be catastrophic. Meanwhile, the Tsorans, ever the politicians, began to analyze humanity's psychological makeup. They had long relied on diplomacy, using their vast understanding of emotional manipulation to influence other species. But humans were immune to their tactics. They couldn't be swayed with promises of prosperity, nor could they be intimidated by threats of war. The Tsorans' ability to control the narrative had failed, and they were left scrambling for a way to regain influence over this unpredictable species. One of the most unexpected developments was the rise of the human-backed factions within the galaxy itself. Ships bearing the emblem of Earth began to appear on the fringes of the Alliance's borders. Some were exploring uncharted space. Others were trading with races that had long been considered too dangerous or too distant for galactic interaction. And in some sectors, small but powerful human colonies were springing up, independent from the major interstellar powers. They were using Earth's resources and ingenuity to create new, self-sustaining worlds. In a small, outlying region of space, A group of settlers calling themselves the Freeborn were the first to encounter a mysterious alien race, the Gentaur. Unlike the peaceful civilizations the Council dealt with, the Gentaur were fiercely territorial and had been avoiding galactic contact for centuries. Yet when the Freeborn made contact, they did so with no formal representatives, no negotiators, just human pioneers who spoke of their right to explore and claim new lands. The Gentaur, despite their initial hostility, were taken aback by the boldness of the humans. Instead of succumbing to their threats or yielding to their power, the humans bargained with them directly, offering trade, information, and mutual benefits without sacrificing their freedom. For the first time, the Gentaur considered the possibility of a treaty, not as subjugated allies, but as equals. This was a breakthrough that had never been seen in galactic history. And across the galaxy, more and more eyes were turning toward humanity. Some saw them as a potential ally, others a future adversary. Either way, no one could ignore the implications of humanity's actions. Back at the Galactic Council, the debate was no longer about whether to bring Earth into the fold, it was about how to contain the potential rise of a new galactic power. The idea of humanity as part of the Galactic Alliance now seemed distant. The humans weren't interested in joining a galactic order that sought to control them. They were building something different, something their leaders had yet to fully comprehend. General Carter stood before a hollow projection in her office on Earth, looking out over the cities below, her mind racing. She had expected resistance from the Council, but what was unfolding now was far more complex. Humanity wasn't just rejecting peace talks. They were rejecting the idea that the galaxy could shape them into something they were not. They were forging their own path, with a mix of determination, bravery, and resourcefulness that no other species had ever displayed. Humanity was no longer just a fledgling species among giants. They were the unknown variable that might one day challenge everything the galaxy held dear. And in that quiet moment, Carter couldn't help but wonder, what would the galaxy look like when humanity finally rose to its full potential? End. Galactic leaders confront the unexpected rise of humanity. HFY stories, HFY Sci-Fi. The galaxy was on the brink of something unprecedented. As humanity continued to evolve into an unpredictable force, the rest of the Galactic Council had begun to shift their focus. The once cohesive alliances of ancient species now found themselves questioning their own future. The emergence of humanity, so fiercely independent, so relentlessly determined, had shattered the fragile peace they had worked centuries to build. Humanity's rejection of the Galactic Council's peace terms had been the spark. But it wasn't just the refusal that was shocking, it was how quickly humanity had adapted to their newfound position. Without the weight of galactic treaties holding them back, Earth had accelerated its growth, its exploration, and its political influence in ways the Council could never have predicted. As Earth's colonies expanded and its military presence began to grow beyond their homeworld, whispers of revolution began to circle in the most powerful sectors of galactic society. The established species, the Tsorans, Zelver, and Eldari, had ruled the galaxy for eons, all but unaware of the immense potential of humanity. Now, they realized their mistake. The galaxy's stability was being threatened not by war, but by something far more dangerous, the sudden, unrelenting surge of a species that refused to be bound by anyone's rules. In the halls of the Galactic Council Station, a new emergency session had been called. The meeting was tense, more urgent than any in living memory. The atmosphere was thick with apprehension as counselors took their seats, their faces grim, their minds racing with the same question. What are we going to do about Earth? Counselor Vkaz, the Zelver representative, growled as he stood, his bioluminescent skin flashing with irritation. We've underestimated them for too long. Earth's military is expanding faster than we ever imagined. And their colonies? Are thriving, interrupted a voice. It was Counselor Tkar, the Tsoran representative, his 6 arms folded across his chest in agitation. I have spent centuries cultivating alliances. We have shared technology, culture, and knowledge. And yet, humans who have barely scratched the surface of interstellar travel, are rapidly building their own path. The chamber fell into a tense silence, each leader processing the sudden shift in power. The humans cannot be contained, Vkaz continued, his voice low but filled with a bitter kind of respect. They are different. They thrive in conflict. They thrive in adversity. It's as if they draw strength from what would break any other species. The Freeborn are already proving that they have secured multiple agreements with the Gentar. No less. The Gentar. Tkar spat, his face twisting in disbelief. They are one of the most isolationist species in the galaxy. And yet they respect humanity's resolve, interjected the older representative. His silver skin gleamed as he rose from his seat, his three eyes scanning the room. The Gentar saw what others did not. Humanity does not negotiate as we do. They act as equals from the very beginning. No subjugation, no hierarchy, no promises of future favors, just pure, unadulterated respect for their sovereignty. A murmur of agreement swept across the chamber. And what about their military? Councillor Kvoss, a sharp-eyed representative of the ancient Eldari, asked. Their fleets are becoming more than capable of defending their colonies, and their technology, while not as advanced as ours, has rapidly improved. They are no longer the naive, fragile species we once thought them to be. The room fell silent once more. Humanity was not just evolving at a faster rate than expected. They were surpassing the expectations of everyone in the room. They are the wild card we never saw coming, Tkar muttered, frustration lacing his voice. If we allow them to continue, Earth will become a power in its own right, perhaps even an adversary. We must act, Rkaz declared, slamming his fist onto the table. We cannot allow Earth to remain outside our control. Their rise cannot go unchecked. If we do not make an alliance with them, then we must neutralize them. The Alter, who had been observing the tense meeting quietly, now spoke up. Neutralize them? You're forgetting the human spirit. Their defiance isn't merely political, it's cultural. It is ingrained in their DNA. Every effort to subdue them will only make them stronger. Tkar's face darkened as he glanced toward the Alter. And what do you suggest we do? Then, stand by and allow Earth to carve its own path into the stars, unchecked? If we do not act, humanity will be a force to reckon with. And if they ever choose to turn against us, they will not turn against you. The Alter replied calmly. But they will never bend to your will, either. You are approaching this all wrong. Humanity's power lies in its freedom, their willingness to defy, to reject authority. That is what sets them apart. You can either choose to engage with them as equals, or face a long, drawn-out conflict that will cost everyone. There was a long, drawn-out pause as each council member considered the Alter's words. What do you propose? Then, Councillor Kvoss asked, clearly skeptical. I propose we offer them the chance to truly join the Galactic Council, but only on their terms. The Alter said softly. Stop trying to control them. Allow humanity to maintain their independence. Let them lead their own way. They might become the greatest force of peace the galaxy has ever known, on their own terms. The room was silent, the weight of the Alter's words settling over the gathered leaders like a heavy cloak. We don't know how to control them, Tkar admitted, his voice quieter than it had been all meeting. Perhaps it's time we stopped trying. The decision was made. The Galactic Council would extend a new offer to humanity, an offer of equality, not control. It would be a delicate negotiation, a balancing act between recognizing humanity's strength and respecting their desire for sovereignty. But for the first time, the Council understood that humanity could not be tamed or shaped into a mold. They would either stand as equals, or they would remain outside the galactic fold forever. And so, an emissary was dispatched to Earth with the new offer. The fate of the galaxy now rested on whether humanity would accept, or whether they would once again choose to walk away. End. Humanity faces a choice, independence or galactic unity. HFY Stories, HFY Sci-Fi. The emissary sent from the Galactic Council arrived at Earth's orbit with a quiet hum, a sleek vessel bearing the emblem of galactic diplomacy. Unlike previous missions, this one wasn't an offer of subjugation or forced unity, it was a carefully crafted olive branch, one that would either bridge the divide or drive humanity further into isolation. On Earth, General Evelyn Carter, now a global symbol of human independence, stood in a secure command room, eyes fixed on the message that had arrived. The situation was dire. Humanity had already shown its reluctance to join the galactic fold. Still, the offer from the Council was different. It wasn't just about peace talks. It was about mutual respect, acknowledging humanity's right to chart its own course without becoming another cog in the vast, bureaucratic machine of the Galactic Council. The message from the emissary was concise, delivered with the gravitas that only millennia of galactic diplomacy could muster. Humanity is invited to join the Galactic Council as an equal. No submission to our authority, no demands of surrender, only the recognition that Earth and its colonies will maintain their sovereignty. The choice is yours: become a part of the galaxy's future as equals, or continue to walk your own path, independent and untethered from the reach of galactic politics. It was an offer no one had expected. The concept of true equality was radical, but it had been proposed, and now humanity was faced with a decision that would define its place in the galaxy for centuries to come. Carter sat back, her fingers drumming thoughtfully on the edge of the desk. The council was offering what no one had anticipated: the chance to join the galaxy without losing Earth's core identity. It was tempting, but the warning still loomed. Could they trust the galactic leaders? Could humanity afford to risk its future by becoming entangled in a system that had already proven its willingness to control, to manipulate, and to push species into compliance? "You know they'll never let us go," Carter said quietly to the senior members of her council. "Even if they're offering us equality now, we all know how quickly they'll change their minds once they realize the power we truly hold." "I agree," said Admiral Jensen, a veteran of humanity's military forces. "Their version of equality may not be what we think it is. It may only be an illusion to placate us for now. But we can't ignore the opportunities," interjected Dr. Ayala, a leading scientist in Earth's interstellar research program. "The knowledge, the technology, we'd have access to the kind of advancements that could solve so many of Earth's problems. A future where war, disease, and poverty are no longer part of our reality." Carter met Ayala's eyes, but her expression was hard, unwavering. "That's what they want us to think. A few nice toys to keep us in line. We've come too far to surrender our freedom for promises of prosperity." The room fell silent, as if everyone present understood the gravity of the decision. The future of humanity could go in two directions. They could accept the Galactic Council's offer, becoming part of a larger interstellar alliance, with all the benefits and risks that came with it. Or they could choose to remain on their own, independent, free, and unbound by the rules of others. The path forward wasn't clear. General Carter's mind raced. Her father, the first leader to initiate Earth's journey into space, had always told her that humanity's strength lay in its ability to make its own way in the universe. The Council's offer, as tempting as it was, threatened to undermine that very principle. "Set up a meeting with the galactic emissary," Carter ordered at last, her voice resolute. "We will hear them out, but we will make no promises. Not yet." Hours later, on a neutral communication channel, the emissary from the Galactic Council appeared, a tall, dignified being with translucent skin that shimmered like glass. The emissary's face was calm, yet there was an underlying tension in their eyes. It was clear that they understood the magnitude of the decision facing humanity. "General Carter, esteemed leaders of Earth," the emissary began, their voice soft yet filled with an otherworldly authority. "I bring you an offer not of conquest, but of cooperation. The galaxy has watched your species evolve at an astonishing rate, and we understand now that your strength lies not just in your technological prowess, but in your unique ability to chart your own path. The Galactic Council offers you a seat at the table, no strings attached, no subjugation." There was a pause, and Carter could feel the weight of the galaxy's gaze pressing down on her. "And if we decline?" she asked, her voice steady. The emissary's expression remained unchanged. "Then humanity will continue on its own course. The galaxy will not seek to interfere with your independence. But understand this, your isolation comes with its own risks. There are those among us who do not respect the sovereignty of others. There are factions, far beyond the Council's reach, who may see your refusal as weakness. The choice is yours. Be a part of the galaxy's future, or remain outside it. But know that the galaxy will never forget your decision." The holographic image of the emissary flickered for a moment as the transmission ended. The message was clear: Earth had the power to choose its future, but that choice would come with consequences, both good and bad. General Carter turned to the room. "They're giving us an ultimatum," she said. "Join them and face the unknown risks of galactic politics, or stay free and face the threats that come with being alone. I won't pretend it's an easy decision, but we can't afford to be naive." Admiral Jensen was the first to speak. "We've survived because we've refused to be controlled. That's what makes us human. And that's why we have to stay true to who we are. Dr. Ayala added. We can't let the galaxy dictate our future, no matter how appealing their promises sound. Carter nodded, her decision solidifying. Humanity is built on the idea that we control our own destiny. We won't be shackled by anyone's terms, no matter how tempting the offer. We'll remain free. As she spoke those words, a sense of unity swept through the room. The decision was made. Humanity would not bend to the will of others, not even the vast and powerful Galactic Council. They would continue to explore, to grow, and to build a future without the constraints of galactic diplomacy. The emissary's words echoed in her mind. The galaxy will never forget your decision. But in that moment, Carter knew one thing for certain: humanity's future would be theirs to define, and the galaxy would have to adapt to them. End. Humanity's Resolve, A New Era in the Stars. HFY Stories, HFY Sci-Fi. In the aftermath of Earth's bold decision to remain independent, the ripple effects were felt across the galaxy. While the Galactic Council had offered humanity a place within its vast, complex network, humanity's refusal to conform to its terms had sent shockwaves through the delicate fabric of interstellar diplomacy. The world had watched with bated breath as Earth chose to walk its own path, an uncertain path, but one that would forever alter the course of history. General Evelyn Carter stood at the head of the United Earth Government's newly established council, a coalition of political and military leaders. It was tasked with guiding Earth's future in a galaxy that had now taken notice of their defiance. The room was filled with murmurs of discussion, but Carter's presence brought it to an immediate silence. She had become the face of humanity's resolve, unwavering, determined, and now, perhaps more than ever, indispensable. Now we make our own future, she began, her voice echoing through the chamber. The Galactic Council gave us an ultimatum: join them or face the unknown. They thought we would bend. But humanity doesn't bend. We shape our own destiny. The room filled with applause. For the first time in years, there was a palpable sense of unity and pride among the leaders of Earth. The decision to reject the Council had not been made lightly, but the conviction behind it had galvanized humanity's resolve. Now, Earth stood on the precipice of a new age. It wasn't about aligning with the power structures of the galaxy. It was about carving out their own place in it. Earth's refusal had not gone unnoticed. Across the galaxy, the reaction had been swift and diverse. Some species were curious, others wary. Many saw humanity as a threat to the established order, while a few recognized the spark of something truly unique. The Zelver, Sorens, and Eldari had attempted to placate the humans with diplomatic offers, but those who had truly studied Earth's history understood that humanity's defiance was not born from pride alone. It was born from survival, and from the refusal to submit to anyone. In the outskirts of known space, factions that had long been shunned by the Galactic Council were watching. Rogue traders, independent explorers, and militaristic mercenaries were intrigued. The Freeborn, a faction of humanity's pioneers who had established independent colonies in distant star systems, sent word to Earth that they were ready to align with the homeworld. They were not bound by the constraints of galactic politics. They were free, and they had no intention of submitting to a galactic order that had long forgotten the meaning of true freedom. The message was clear: humanity was not alone in its ideals. Others were drawn to their defiance. Earth had become a beacon for those who wished to break free from the chains of galactic bureaucracy. General Carter, Admiral Jensen said as he entered the room, holding a hollow tablet that projected an image of a new communication. We've received another message. It's from the Freeborn. The room quieted as the image flickered to life, revealing a figure in a spacesuit, their face a mixture of excitement and resolve. We are the Freeborn, the voice said, and we offer our hand in partnership to Earth. Together, we will build something new, a coalition of free species, unshackled from the confines of galactic control. We are ready to stand with you. The transmission ended with a burst of static, leaving behind an undeniable sense of urgency. Humanity now had allies beyond their own world. The first sparks of a new alliance were igniting, an alliance born from the same spirit of independence that had led Earth to reject the Galactic Council. Carter looked around the room, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on her. The road ahead was fraught with unknowns. There would be opposition, there always was. The galactic powers would not sit idly by while humanity sought to carve out a new destiny. But she felt the fire of something new building in her chest, something that transcended politics and alliances. It was the spirit of a species that had been given a chance to redefine itself. The freeborn are the first of many, Carter said, her voice resolute. This isn't just about resisting the Galactic Council. This is about building something new, a new order where freedom and sovereignty are respected. We are not alone in this galaxy, and we will not be silenced. As she spoke, the implications of her words settled in the hearts of those listening. Earth had made its choice, and the galaxy would have to adapt to humanity's vision. The first chapter of Earth's new destiny was being written, not in the halls of the Galactic Council, but in the distant corners of space where humanity would forge its future. Over the next few months, Earth's influence spread. The Freeborn Alliance grew, with more species joining in solidarity with Earth's ideals of freedom and independence. Humanity's ships, once isolated in the void, now sailed alongside these new allies, navigating through uncharted territories and forging their own path. But the Galactic Council, though shaken, was not without its own power. They had watched humanity's rise with growing concern, and now, they sought a way to reassert control. A series of covert operations were planned to weaken the growing human-led alliance. It was a dangerous game, one that could lead to full-scale conflict. General Carter, however, was not naive. She knew that the future of humanity wasn't secure simply because they had chosen independence. The galaxy was vast, and there were forces beyond their understanding. But what she had seen over the past months, the growing unity among human colonists, the allies they had found in unexpected places, made her confident in one thing: humanity would never again be subjugated. They had proven it once, and they would prove it again if necessary. The next few years would shape the destiny of not only Earth but of every species in the galaxy. A new era was beginning, and it was one in which humanity would no longer stand as an afterthought. They would stand as equals, perhaps even as the architects of a new way forward for the stars. And as General Carter gazed out the window, the distant stars sparkling before her, she knew one thing for certain: humanity had only just begun. End. Humanity Strikes Back, The Birth of the Free Coalition. HFY Stories, HFY Sci-Fi. As Earth's influence spread through the galaxy, a new era began to take shape, a galaxy no longer under the shadow of the Galactic Council's control, but one where freedom and independence had become the new currency. Humanity had ignited something far greater than just their own future. They had inspired a wave of rebellious defiance, a revolution of thought across the stars. The birth of the Free Coalition was inevitable. It began with the Freeborn, but quickly expanded to include several other races, alien species who had long been repressed by the Galactic Council's bureaucratic chokehold. The Viekthari, a telepathic race with a gift for strategy. The Corrosions, an insectoid species known for their fierce warriors and unrivaled engineering. And even the elusive Andorim, a nomadic species whose primary interest had always been self-preservation, not galactic politics. To the shock of the Galactic Council, the Free Coalition grew stronger every day. While the Council had hoped to break humanity's resolve with diplomatic pressure and veiled threats, they had failed to anticipate the loyalty humanity inspired in those who had long been oppressed. Earth had become a beacon for the forgotten, the downtrodden, and the independent-minded. General Carter, now the leader of the Free Coalition, sat at the head of an interstellar summit. Representatives from every new member world gathered, standing united for the first time in history. This was no longer a diplomatic negotiation. It was the beginning of a new order, an order that would not bow to the Galactic Council, but one that would shape the galaxy according to its own principles. Today, we build what we could not have built before, Carter began, her voice steady, commanding. The Galactic Council has long dictated terms to us. They told us when to fight, when to submit, when to ally. They treated us as subordinates, but we are no longer their subjects. We stand together, united in our shared vision, a galaxy of free species, where each can determine its own fate, without fear of control. Her words echoed through the chamber, and for the first time, the representatives of the Free Coalition were not just listening, they were standing together, their eyes alight with a shared purpose. The first to speak was Vorik, a Carosian ambassador. His insectoid form stood tall, his armored exoskeleton gleaming. General Carter speaks the truth. For too long, we have been forced into compliance by the Council's rules. The time for submission is over. It's time for the galaxy to know what true freedom feels like. The Viekthari representative, alive, silver-skinned being named Tylana, nodded in agreement. The council never understood us. They saw our gifts as weapons, our minds as tools to be used for their own benefit. But we are more than that. We are more than pawns in a game. From the back of the room, the Andarim representative, Karel, spoke next. The Andarim have survived by adapting, by keeping to the shadows. But we've seen what humanity can do, and we will stand with you, not as shadows, but as equals. The collective murmur of agreement filled the room. Humanity had created not just an alliance, but a movement, one that transcended species, transcended old boundaries. We've only just begun, Carter continued, her voice unwavering. The council may try to strike us down. They may send fleets to quell our unity, but we will not falter. We are the spark that will ignite the fire of rebellion across this galaxy. Meanwhile, in the heart of the Galactic Council, the leaders were convening in a private meeting. The mood was grim. They had underestimated humanity. Worse still, they had underestimated the collective will of species who had been oppressed for centuries. A new power was rising, and the council was scrambling to contain it. What do we do now? Councillor Vkaz, the Zelver representative, demanded, his claws tapping impatiently on the table. The Free Coalition is growing stronger. Humanity has proven that they will not bend. Our offers of peace were ignored. They will never submit to us. Tkar, the Tsoran representative, stood, his 6 eyes narrowed in thought. We cannot let them take control of the galaxy. Their actions could inspire revolt in every corner of the council's reach. We must act quickly to suppress this threat. Councillor Kvoss, an elder from the Eldari, spoke in a calm, measured voice. We cannot afford to alienate the Free Coalition further. If we attack them directly, we risk a war that could tear the galaxy apart. Instead, we must divide them. We must find their weak points, their divisions, and exploit them. Vkaz nodded, his bioluminescent skin flashing with renewed aggression. Then we must act with precision. There is no room for mistakes. If we do not crush this insurrection quickly, the galaxy will fall into chaos. We cannot allow these rebels to destroy everything we've built. Back in the heart of the Free Coalition, General Carter was strategizing, aware that the Galactic Council would not let their newfound adversary thrive without trying to reassert their dominance. She gathered her closest allies in a secure command room, the weight of the coming conflict heavy on their shoulders. We will face attacks, Carter said, her voice strong but tinged with the knowledge of the challenge ahead. The Council will strike at us with everything they have. But we've proven one thing, we stand united, and we will not break. We've inspired too many to turn back now. Her eyes scanned the room, meeting those of the other representatives. The Free Coalition was growing into a formidable force, one that would challenge the established order. But more than that, they had something the Galactic Council could never understand, a shared belief that no one species, no one government, had the right to dictate the fate of others. We fight for freedom, Carter continued, but more than that, we fight for the future. We are the first step in a revolution that will reshape the stars. The Council may try to break us, but they cannot break our spirit. Together, we are unstoppable. The room erupted in agreement, the words of the general igniting the fire within them all. The fight for their future was no longer about diplomacy or negotiations, it was about survival, about carving out a space in the galaxy where freedom would reign. As the coalition's ships prepared for the inevitable conflict, a new sense of unity settled over the alliance. The future was uncertain, but they now knew that they would not face it alone. Across the galaxy, the stars themselves seemed to burn a little brighter. The birth of the Free Coalition was a signal to all. Humanity and its allies would no longer be passive in the face of tyranny. They had become the new vanguard of freedom, and they would fight, no matter the cost. End.